Ben Johnson continues to search to find his defensive coordinator, this time putting in a request to interview Vikings defensive back coach Daronte Jones. We'll talk a little bit about that. Plus, more kind of things as we're finding out about Ben Johnson and what brought him to the Chicago Bears. All that plus the mailbag right after this.
You are now tuned in to Chicago Bears Central, your number one place for all Chicago Bears news and content.
What's going on, Bears fans? Welcome to another episode of Chicago Bears Central, your number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related. I'm the host there, Hayes, but more importantly, you guys can follow the channel at Chi Bears Central on every social media platform we happen to be on. With that said, let's go ahead and get into this content for today. And so, Ben Johnson, he's continued to try to find his next defensive coordinator, his first defensive coordinator, we should say, as this is his first head coaching position. And he's now put in a request to interview Daronte Jones, who is the defensive back coach currently with the Minnesota Vikings, and he's the passing game coordinator as well. And we're starting to see a trend here, right? It seems like Ben Johnson, when you add in this with the request to kind of interview Aubrey as well, is that, you know, he is really trying to get people who've done multiple positions, right? Going after guys who, between him and Aubrey Pleasant, like multiple sides of the ball. Like it's really something interesting when you look at it when it comes down to that. The fact that he's also defensive back coach, the passing game coordinator, Aubrey Pleasant had, he's been everything between the defensive side of the ball, passing game coordinator, assistant head coach. And so this is now the second candidate that Ben Johnson has requested to interview. We still have the Dennis Allen rumors out there on that, somebody as well that the Bears could look to get. But, Daronte Jones is somebody who he's been in coaching. He started off in high school, right? He coached through college. He coached through high school as well. He initially came into the NFL as a coach there. He was an assistant defensive back coach with the Miami Dolphins in 2016. He's coached secondary throughout the majority of his career. Secondary should be one of the areas of the most depth for the Chicago Bears. And after 2 years with Miami, he then turned around. He was the cornerback coach for the Cincinnati Bengals from 2018 and 19. Then he was the defensive back coach with the Vikings in 2020. He also had a brief stint with LSU in 2021. He then returned to Minnesota to be the defensive back coach under Kevin O'Connell, and then became the passing game coordinator in 2023. He's coached Pro Bowl players like Xavier Howard, Jesse Bates, Harrison Smith, Stephen Gilmore as well. And you look at the Minnesota Vikings, also led the league in interceptions with 24 this past season. So, this is another guy who has experience as a coach. He doesn't necessarily have defensive coordinator experience, but he does have experience as a coach, and he's somebody that hopefully Ben Johnson can lean on. So we're starting to kind of get a little bit of a feel for what Ben Johnson may be looking for in his defensive coordinator. Now, again, these guys are still wildly different. Dennis Allen would still be my favorite as of right now when it comes down to that, if they can get him locked in. And we'll see what ultimately happens with that. But I think overall, it just comes down to this. They have some things that they need to continue to do, right? They have some things that they definitely need to help the Chicago Bears kind of get to the next place that they want to be at for sure. And so just watching this and how this continues to develop, who Ben Johnson ends up settling in on his defensive coordinator. And I think this is kind of more important than usual, like especially that we've had, because Ben Johnson's an offensive-minded head coach, and he's still going to call the offense, right? So he's going to need somebody that he can really trust, to turn over a large part of that defense on. I've said it before. I still need Ben Johnson to have his thumb and his pulse on the defense. I don't want a situation where he's kind of just turning the defense over. He still needs his hand on that. But I think overall, like, you want somebody that you can really trust that's going to be able to really lead that defense, be a leader of men on that defensive side of the ball. And let's hope that the Bears can that Ben Johnson can find that guy, find the yin to his yang in a kind of way when it comes down to that defense. Now, with that said, there is an article from Bears Goggles on in regards to some of the expectations or bold predictions is the way that they labeled it for Ben Johnson in his rookie year. And I want to go over this. So the first one they isn't really in regards to Ben Johnson at all. They say Ryan Poles will be known as the best general manager in Chicago Bears history. And, I know that, and this is the one thing with Bears fans, a lot of Bears fans really turned the tide on Ryan Poles. They kind of forgot some of the good things that he did or didn't want to highlight that because of the place of the team. And that's kind of understandable. But when you look at what Ryan Poles came in here and did, how he cleared the cap sheet, how he didn't sign long, bad-term contracts, no, losing Roquan Smith was not a bad side of Ryan Poles. He's made mistakes, right? But I do think that if this Ben Johnson thing works out, which we all hope that it will, and Ryan Poles gets back to what he's done, yeah, Ryan Poles can be known as one of the best general managers in Chicago Bears history. I don't really think that's it. That's a possibility here. He's done more good than bad. And I know you're going to have your Bears fans that don't agree with that, and that's personally perfectly fine. But he's done more good than bad. He's drafted well. Yeah, some of the talent hasn't necessarily performed up to what we wanted it to. Tyreek Stevenson took a big dip last year after that Hail Mary thing. But I think we're going to see the tide turn on a lot of that with the overall expectation and the leadership of this Bears team changing as well. But I think Ryan Poles getting this guy and Ben Johnson, if this all works out, on top of drafting Caleb Williams, this is going to change a lot of the direction of the Bears, and Ryan Poles is going to be the guy at the head of that. The next one that they have under Ben Johnson is that DJ Moore will become a household name and fantasy football superstar. When you look at what Ben Johnson did with Amon-Ra St. Brown, there's a big reason to believe that. And DJ Moore is going to be somebody who, just as much as Caleb Williams, benefits from having a play caller like Ben Johnson there. He just is. It is what it is, right? You look at who DJ Moore has played with as a quarterback over his career, and if Ben Johnson can get the most out of Caleb Williams, absolutely DJ Moore is going to have an incredible season under Ben Johnson. So this is another prediction, prediction that I agree with. I think DJ Moore is going to have a big season next year for the Bears, and I think that's gonna be a big deal in the success of the Bears. Now, this last one that they have, the Chicago Bears will make the playoffs in year one of Ben Johnson. And there's a lot of reason to think this. When you look at like 5 out of 6 of the Chicago Bears losses in that streak last year, they could have won with better coaching. They could have won with better execution. And if Ben Johnson comes in and sets the standard with better coaching and the better execution from being able to use the players on this team better, as well as upgrades to the offensive line, I do think this is a Bears team that contending for a playoff spot should be the expectation. And that's not necessarily putting that all on Ben Johnson. That was the expectation coming into last year. Contend for a wild card spot. With all the talent and the way that you revamped that roster, that team should have been contending for a playoff spot. So we're picking up with more competent coaching and what the expectation and the hope should have been last year. So yes, I do think there's a big chance of that. When you look at the quarterback and hopefully the quarterback play that we have, the defense that already has some solid pieces we need, and who that defensive mind and what that defensive scheme is going to really help that as well. Yes, making the playoffs next year should be the goal for the Chicago Bears. That's what they should be aiming for. So under Ben Johnson, yeah, all these things definitely should happen. It definitely should happen. And we'll see if that continues to go for this team. And yeah, hopefully we get to that promised land and start building off of that going forward. Now, with that said as well, it's starting to be floated around that Trey Smith is somebody that the Chicago Bears should target in free agency. Here's what I'm going to say with this, right? He would be somebody. If he's not franchise tag, which is still a possibility for that to happen, but then again, there's been some expectations that the Chiefs may not franchise tag them because of the money that they're spending on other positions. If the Bears are in a situation where they can offer, they should be there day one, opening a free agency for Trey Smith at right guard. They absolutely should be there right there for him. Now, it's going to take upwards of $20 million to get him in the building, right? And so that would be the Bears' key target in free agency. Now, I think if you spend that much money on him, you're probably going to fill out the rest of that offensive line as much as you can in the draft, and I think that's important as well. But make no mistake about it, the Chicago Bears should target Trey. If he hits the free agent market, the Bears should be one of the first guys knocking at his door to get him to come to Chicago. You can get him there. You can fit him beside Darnell Wright at right tackle. Your right side of your ball at that point is taken care of. And now you got to go out and find a center. You got to go out and find a tackle. You got to go do those things. But I tell you what, if you can get Trey Smith in here and in free agency, you try to get him day one. You try to get him day one. And yeah, That's somebody that I'd be willing to spend the money on. He's 25 years old. He didn't allow a single sack this season, right? And that's on 742 pass blocking reps. Yeah, you get that guy. He missed one game in 4 years. He stayed relatively healthy as well. You get that guy. Ben Johnson's already talked about wanting to improve that offensive line and that being something that they need to improve going forward. You go out and get Trey Smith in free agency as your number one target. Hey, listen, that goes a long way in fixing the thing that's been hurting this Bears team for so long, and that's the O-line. I think you got to do that. But with that said, it is Friday. That means it is Mailbag Day here at Bears Central. Let's go ahead and get into these voicemails, man. This one's from Darius.
What's going on, guys? Darius from Dallas. Just wanted to, give my 2 cents on this Ben Johnson hiring, man. I of course had my doubts about him, but I'm gonna do my best as a Bears fan to be open-minded about this process, and hopefully we can get some good results out of it. I'll tell you what I do like so far is the cast of people that he's bringing with him. We're getting Dennis Allen out of this deal, it looks like. And that's a hell of a defensive coordinator that's a guy who has already been a head coach. So he ain't really looking for, some sort of praise and getting the next step and getting a head coach promotion. He's not looking at that. He just want to be a defensive coordinator. And that's some guys that you can build with, a guy you can have in your system that's not going to be looking to, go get his next big offer. He'll probably stay in the system for a little while if he has some success. So I do like that. And he's got head coaching experience, so he can help Ben Johnson out in them little gray areas that he might have as a head coach as well. And the one that I like the most, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's bringing the offensive line coach from Detroit on with him as an offensive coordinator. And that's so smart because he knew he couldn't bring him and do a lateral move and just bring him as an offensive line coach. He had to give him a promotion. And that's what he did. But basically, that guy just going to be coaching the offensive line. He might be assisting here and there with tracking plays for Ben Johnson. But for the most part, that guy's just coaching the offensive line. So he's getting offensive coordinator pay just to do the same job he did in Detroit. And guys, that is a huge deal for us, man, because Chris Morgan has had us being one of the worst offensive lines in the league for years now. So you got to think that's not just a player's thing. That's not just on Braxton Jones. Maybe this motherfucker just wasn't teaching these guys right because we had a different mix of guys every year, and we're getting the same result from Chris Morgan. So I don't think that it's on all 100% on the offensive line, man. We got to get some guys in there to know how to coach better. So that's the first thing that we did, and I'm so pumped up about that particular signing right there, even more so than the Ben Johnson signing, that we got a solid offensive line coach that's finally going to come in here, man, and teach these guys the right way to play offensive line. And that way, any rookies we draft, any free agents we sign, they're going to be doing it the right way from day one. And Caleb, man, dude, look at what he did this year. Imagine him with time. He's throwing for 4,500 yards. I believe that. And probably about 40 touchdowns. But it feels good, man. It's like eating a big, plate of buffalo wings. It just feels good right now. It feels good going down. We might pay for it tomorrow with the shits, but it feels good right now, man, to finally get the best coach on the market. But y'all know, let me know what y'all think. Text us up, bear down.
All right, so we aren't 100% to get Dennis Allen yet, and the Hank Fraley thing has been debunked now. He's not going to be the offensive coordinator. I know that all happened before you left your voicemail, but the thing that I want to focus on that you left here in the voicemail is Caleb Williams going for 4,500 yards next year and 40 touchdowns. And when you look at what Caleb Williams did last year, under a more competent offense and an offense built around his skill set on top of an offense that just is going to run more competently, I don't think that's an unfair prediction to have. Now, I do think throwing for 4,500 yards is a rarity, and it's never happened in the Chicago Bears uniform. But I do think that Caleb Williams, at already throwing for 3,541 yards, 20 touchdowns, 6 interceptions, a little bit of that was him trying not to throw an interception when he was on that streak, I believe. But you just bring in more competency as far as play calling. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility of Caleb Williams doing that. He already also almost had 500 yards on the ground last season. So if you're talking about 4,500 to 5,000 yards in total offense from your quarterback, that tells me that we're going to have one of the more potent offenses in the game of football. And you get in another running back as well in that. I do think that the Bears offense is going to – now, I'm not saying that should be the expectation for Caleb, but I do think that is a possibility for Caleb next season as that growth. I've said it before. That first to second year growth for Caleb Williams, that's going to be such an important part of this puzzle of getting this all together. And let's see if he can. Let's see what Caleb Williams, listen, setting high expectations for him, I'm never going to be mad at all. So let's see if we can do that. And if Caleb hits those marks, that's going to be one of the best quarterback, if not the best quarterback season ever by a Chicago Bear. But it better come with wins because I need the wins in that as well. All right, let's get into the next voicemail, man. This one's from Fred.
Hey, yo, hey, what up, man? It's be your boy Fred. What it do, big dog? Hey, this is my first time calling in, as far as like checking in, talk about, the Bears hire Ben Johnson. I'm actually kind of glad they actually got a big name person who actually can coach, man. And I like this, his press, conference and everything, man. How he said how he's gonna hold his coach coach accountable, and the players, and for his players to hold him accountable. And that's the type of mentality we need. Because when Eberflus was the coach, we didn't get that from Eberflus. We got excuses. He blamed everybody, except him and his coaching staff on why the team didn't have no success. So I like his enthusiasm and his energy that he brings into the team. And I've seen that some of the guys was there, like DJ, Cole Kmet, and Caleb and Rome was there, when he had his press conference. Now, we ain't never had that from a Bears player when they get a new coach. They just wait till, I guess, camp and all that, But anyway, now let's see the staff he going to put together as far as his OC, O-line coach, quarterback coach, wide receiver coach, D-line coach, D coordinator and all that stuff, man. I'm just looking forward to see him putting this roster together as far as the coaches and everything, and we getting the right players. And honestly, I hope we get another running back, like somewhere like in the draft somewhere that's a dog, because Roschon and Swift, like Swift is not an every down back, like I told people, We need us a dog at running back. That's why Detroit drafted Gibbs and brought in Montgomery. And best believe Johnson's going to run that ball. We need a coach who's going to take that pressure off his quarterback, who's going to run that ball as far as a coach that's going to say, hey, let's run this ball down team's throat until they can stop it and open up the passing game. And I like that mentality that he's coming in with. So I'm just ready for the offseason as far as free agency, who we going to bring in, and, looking forward to the draft and everything, like who we going to have on the team so the Bears can get back to being winning. And I want to say this too, hey, no disrespect, but fuck them pussy-ass Detroit Lions fans getting their feelings because Ben Johnson went to come to coach our team. Like, shit, hell, we didn't get mad and attack Detroit Lions fans when Montgomery joined their ass and shit. We didn't get mad when Vildor bomb ass over there now and Allen Robinson. So I just want to say that to the Detroit kittens, man, get out your motherfucking feelings. Oh well, get the fuck over it. It's the NFL. Shit happens. So let me know what you think about that, big dog. Chicago up, bear down. I guess I could say bear down enough and that's sustained all the way down.
Getting a running back in the draft, Fred, here's what I'll say with that. Like, it depends on and I love the fact that free agency is first, right? Because you get to address your needs in free agency for the most part, or at certain spots with veterans, and then you get to address some other things in the draft. Now, there are some really good running backs in this draft. I don't know how high up the Bears draft a running back, but I will say this. I can absolutely see a world in which the Bears draft a running back. You got DeAndre Swift here, who's not an every down back, as you mentioned. You got Roschon Johnson in here, who I do want to see get more opportunity, but he's injury prone. If you can add another running back to that, you have that 1-2-3 punch, right? And hopefully a 1-2 punch as it continues to develop. So, I wouldn't mind getting a running back in this draft at all. I think that, Ben Johnson having a say in what the Bears need, right? He's going to be able to voice, hey, this is what I really need to make this team work. And Ryan Poles is going to listen to that. I do think that, there's a chance that we get a running back. Now, of course, we got things that we need to address first that I think, that I feel. Trenches is first, that I think we need to address highly as well. Maybe need to start looking at safeties because of Jaquan Brisker's injury history. Bayard only has 1 year left on his deal. But, we're going to also get those weapons that Ben Johnson needs that he can make this offense the most potent offense in Chicago Bears history. So running back, I wouldn't necessarily be mad at it as long as we make sure that we take care of that offensive line. That's the first thing. We got to, even if you draft, I know C-Dub has a different opinion on this, even if you draft a running back in the first round, which I doubt's going to happen, you still need to make sure that offensive line gets such an overhaul to make sure that you make that pick, that we're not looking back at that once again and being like, see, look, we got cute instead of taking care of the trenches. That's what Ryan Poles has to make sure that he takes care of those areas before other places. So we'll see. Let's get into this next voicemail, man. This one's from Vaughn.
Yo, Chicago Bears Central, Bobby, C-Dub, Drip, Big Steve-O, Big Kev, what's the business, man? It's your boy Big Bun from the low end. Hey, man, I'm fresh out work. I'm headed home, and I had to call in because, as y'all know, the city is on fire. Chicago media is on fire because of Ben Johnson's presser today. Now, I'm going to get right to the meat and potatoes. I don't know about you guys. I'm 32 years old. I've been a Bears fan as long as I can remember. Honestly, just speaking candidly, frankly, I've never seen a presser or I've never watched a presser where I started getting emotional listening to this guy, Ben Johnson. Right off the bat, you can tell this is a guy who cares. It's a guy who cares about the players, and it's a guy who's ready to win. And as he kept repeating, this is a place where he wanted to be, all right? He did his homework. He did his research. He's played in this division, and he knows what it takes to not only be successful in this division, but to conquer the division. I mean, let's be honest. Detroit has been a juggernaut for the past 2 seasons, and that's, I want to say 60% because of Ben Johnson. What he's been able to draw up schematically for the offense is just, it's nothing short of amazing, man. With the trick play, the way he used the personnel, it's awesome. And I'm excited, guys. I was a little bit passive, you know what I'm saying, especially, knowing first-time coaches, they don't have quite the success rate as we would like them to, given the history. But, man, this guy, Ben Johnson, is the real deal. He said he's going to tear this shit down, excuse my language, because I want to make sure y'all boys get y'all bread. But I'm excited, man. But he said he was going to tear it down to the studs, and I felt him when he said that. For all the players who attended, he looked them in the eyes. He spoke with conviction, and he sounds like he comes from the Bears tree, guys. He sounds like he comes from the Kevin Warren and the Ryan Poles lineage. He sounds like one of those intelligent, hardworking, bright guys that we need. Now, granted, this is going to be a collaborative effort. I look forward to the moves Ryan Poles make, and I'm excited, man. Looking forward to the draft, looking forward to chopping it up with you guys. And I'm going to let it be known. Ashton Jeanty, number 10, okay? I'm looking at the offensive lineman. They ain't looking too hot. Let me know what y'all think, man. As always, Chicago up, bear down, baby. Let's get it.
Yeah, but listen, the thing about Ben Johnson is this. Ben Johnson cares about the legacy that he's built, that he wants to build as a head coach. He cares about that, and he wanted to be the head coach of the Bears. Those two things being together, because somebody can care about their legacy but not necessarily have the same feeling. It's about them less than the team. Ben Johnson wanted to be the head coach of the Chicago Bears. That's everything that we've heard. It continues that Ben Johnson checks all the boxes. Now, we got to make sure that those check boxes are going to turn to wins on the football field, but he checks every box. And that's what I really like about this hire in Ben Johnson. He cares about legacy. He cares about the impact he has on players. He cares about all that. He's very conscious of how, as a head coach, to be successful, you need to make your imprint on the team and the players that are fighting for you, that they need to fight for. They need to believe in you to fight for that. You got to believe that, right? And so that's what Ben Johnson is pushing here, and that's what Ben Johnson and him being so legacy focused that he's here. You got 3 legacy focused guys. I believe that Ryan Poles is focused on the legacy he leaves here with the Chicago Bears. We know Caleb Williams. He talked about it. Like, that's one of his most important things is he wants to leave a legacy as a quarterback in the NFL. Ben Johnson wants his legacy as a head coach to matter. All those things hopefully can all intertwine in the line that we have one of the most driven organizations in football going forward. Let's hope that that's the case. Like I said, all the boxes are checked, but the box that still remains to be checked is winning on the football field. And let's hope that we can get that done. All right, let's get into the next voicemail, man. This one's from Dre.
Bobby, hey, C-Dub, Big Kev, Steve-O, Kanye boys. This be your man Dre calling from McKinley Park. I just wanted to holler at you and give my opinion on this Aubrey Pleasant character. I'm sorry. I want to experience defensive coordinator. I don't want Johnson to make the same mistake that Eberflus made by hiring first-time defensive coordinator. We all know how much of a disaster that was. Give me your take on that, but I say we go with Dennis Allen. Chi-Town up, bear down.
Aubrey Pleasant's experience. Here's the thing. I get, and not to say that Dennis Allen shouldn't be above Aubrey Pleasant, but Aubrey Pleasant has plenty of experience. Now, I get it. You want somebody with defensive coordinator experience, and that's fair. He's that experience never. But when you look at all the different positions that he's held, all that everything that he's done on both sides of the football, I actually look at that favorably. Not over Dennis Allen and what he did to turn the tide with that New Orleans Saints offense when he was defense when he was the defensive coordinator, but like, let's not overlook the experience there either, right? I get it. Everybody's going to have the guy that they prefer, and that's perfectly fine. But a lot of people wanted an experienced head coach, and now they are looking at Ben Johnson and are hyped about Ben Johnson as well. All comes down to success, right? If you don't get a veteran guy, what is the success rate that we're having? How does he connect with the guys on? How does he get the best out of the guys on that defense? That's the question there. We won't know that for sure until we get people on the football field, and we'll see what happens there. But great voicemail, Dre. Thank you for leaving that. Let's get into the last voicemail for today. This one's for Trav.
Yo, what up, Hayes, man? This your boy Westside Trav, man. I ain't called in a minute, man. But I'm calling in because I've been sitting back doing some, like, off-season evaluating, and I put together, like, a off-season mock of and I just wanted to run it across you and see what you think about it. So, first, I was looking at the Bears off-season for signing people. If we could sign Trey Smith and pair him back with Darnell Wright, the two Texas players that played together before, that'd be great. Trey Smith on about a $22 million per year contract, so that'll be about 22, 23. We fully guarantee something, so give him about a little bit, about $100 million for about 4 or 5 years, make it about $22 million a year. Then we turn around, we get Atlanta, Drew Dalman, the center, or we get Ryan Kelly, the center. We get them, bring them in, draft Will Campbell, move him to the guard spot. We're going to have to keep Braxton Jones, keep him, for 1 year, but bring in some competition with Braxton Jones, somebody like a Larry Jackson or something, or just, somebody that's serviceable enough to challenge Braxton Jones. Then as far as like the draft with Will Campbell, we get Will Campbell. We go out and draft Wyatt from Virginia, the guard, and then also everybody talk about running backs. I don't care for Gentry. We can get running backs in the later round. Somebody like Amari Hampton or Iowa Caleb Johnson. And then they got Texas A&M. I wanted to say the Texas A&M running back. He real good too. Or the kid from Ohio State that was in the thing. And then also, if we don't get Will Campbell, another tackle that people should look at is Joshua Simmons from Ohio State. That kid was the best left tackle in college until he got hurt. I was just calling in to see what your thoughts is about those. Chicago up and bear down.
Trey Smith, I talked about it in the intro. 100% agree with you. I'm not going to – listen, you laid out a whole all-season plan. That's a whole podcast there, brother. But I'll say this. If you can get Trey Smith as your free agent target, your first free agent target, that's a great way to start off your offseason. That's a great anchor there to keep building out on that offensive line. You need that. I still want to see a veteran center. But, that's just my personal preference. But overall, you just got to rehab that. And a lot of the guys that you laid out there make a lot of sense for the Chicago Bears. I think when you get into we can get this guy, and then we can turn around and get that. And you get kind of not to say that it can't happen, but, I think overall, like, it just needs to be improvement. And Trey Smith would be a huge part and step into that improvement. As far as running back, we'll see. I do think you can get talented running backs late. We've done that before. Look at where Khalil Herbert was drafted. You can get talented running backs late. But I think first and foremost, I want to see those trenches tightened up because listen, there's something just about the identity of having a team that's solid in those damn trenches. And that's what I want for this squad. So let's hope that we can get it. But thank everyone for leaving the voicemails that they did today. Make sure you guys are following the show at Shy Bears Central. You can send us any feedback, questions, comments, concerns, chicagobearscentral@gmail.com. Lastly, if you want to leave a text message and our voicemail for the mailbag, the number to do so, 773-242-9336. We are the number one spot for everything Chicago Bears related, but that's thanks to you lovely and beautiful people. And like I like to end every episode on, Chi-Town up, but bear down. Love you guys. Peace, y'all.
This has been a presentation of the Break Media.